What's up, everybody? It's Tharagal003. Today, we're going to go over top 5 UFC fights that never happened, that should have happened. Number 5, TJ Dillashaw versus Demetrius Johnson. This fight was in the talks of happening. It was right when TJ became champion. I think it was after he beat Burrell for the second time. It was before the Cody fight. Um, no, it was after the Cody fight. It was right before he fought Henry Cejudo. He wanted to fight Demetrius Johnson before Henry Cejudo beat him. So this this was when Demetrius Johnson was on his 11 fight win streak. It was right before he lost to Henry Cejudo. TJ Dillashaw called him out, and Demetrius Johnson didn't want to fight him. Dana really wanted TJ to fight Demetrius. He wanted this fight to happen, but DJ just wasn't messing with it. And I think the reasons this should have happened is like I say up here, TB versus TB, the best versus the best. We got TJ Dillashaw right after the second Cody Garbrandt fight, calling out Demetrius Johnson right before he lost to Henry Cejudo. You know, at this point, TJ has two title defenses as the a two combined overall title defense of beating Renan Barao and beating Cody Garbrandt. He beat Cody, he beat Renan Barao. You know, he beat all these amazing fighters. It's a legacy fight for both men. Because imagine if Demetrius Johnson won and he's seen as the guy who beat TJ Dillashaw, that beat Renan Barao, who was on like a 25 MMA fight, not even just UFC fight, like an MMA fight. And he beat Cody Garbrandt, and then TJ goes down, and then DJ beats him. That's a good name to have on your list. Number 4, Anthony Pettis versus Jose Aldo. Like it says on there, you know, legacy fight. The fight was gonna happen, but it didn't. It definitely would have been a 5 round war, because this is when Anthony Pettis. They both called each other out. Actually, Jose called out Anthony Pettis, and it was if I can remember correctly, it was a canceled fight. I think it was canceled if I remember correctly. It was a canceled fight that just never happened. Sadly, never happened. And we're talking like prime for the both of them. It was a canceled bout if I could find it. It's weird that's not on here because it should have been a canceled bout. Right here, Anthony Pettis canceled bout. We're talking 2013. You know, this is around the time of Jose Aldo. You know, in his prime, fighting Anthony Pettis. At the time, Aldo was 22-1. Anthony Pettis was 16-2. Man, look at the win streak for Aldo. I mean, come on, you know, you got Frankie, Chad Mendes, Kenny Florian, Mark, Uriah Faber, Cub Swanson, you know, Renato Pendez, you know, Mickey Young, good names. What was it? And at this point, Anthony Pettis, you know, he beat Donald Cerrone, Jeremy Stevens, Benson Henderson, Danny Castillo, you know, Sharon Legault, Mike Lambrecht, you know, good names, and this would have been an amazing fight, honestly. A really amazing fight, I think, would have been. It's a legacy fight for both, you know, because both of them were um, legends. Later on, Anthony Pettis became a lightweight champion, and you know, it's just a really good fight that should have happened. Sadly, it didn't. I think it would have been a striking war for 5 rounds. I don't think either man would have shot for legs because they're both amazing strikers. Now we got Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. This fight was projected to fight 4 times. Though It was scheduled 4 times but got canceled 2 times by one time. Habib had tiramisu for dessert and got sick. Another time, Tony hurt his leg, something with his ankle, fell over a wiring cord, and it just sucks it never happened because honestly, Tony could have won. As someone who was like, I'm a Habib fan a little bit. I like him, and I think honestly Habib would have won. That's my opinion. I think 9 times out of 10, Tony loses. It was a huge build up when you're scheduled to fight the same man 4 times, and each time you fall out. There's a big build up, and there was a big beef, and it would have been a war for 5 rounds. Would have been one sided. I mean, it possibly could have been one sided for Habib because Tony has always had a problem with wrestlers. He's been taken down and kind of mauled on the ground before, but Tony off of his back, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He has really good submissions and really good elbows. Maybe it's the first time in UFC history Habib would have been cut up if he fought him. You know, he could have lost. There's these what ifs, could have, woulda, shoulda, woulda, might dida. You know, all these other uhs. Tony could have won. You know, this wasn't Tony fight when he. This is Tony Ferguson when he was like on his like 11 fight, 10 fight win streak. Because the first time they scheduled the fight was 2015 or 20. It was like 2015, 2014, like early in their career. And then from like 2013 to like 2018, 2019, they scheduled the fight 4 times. So they were both on their huge winning streak, and that would have been an amazing fight. After that, you know, GSP versus Anderson Silva. In my opinion, whoever won would be the UFC GOAT. You know, I think John Jones, in my opinion, is the UFC GOAT. But if GSP beat Anderson Silva and became, you know, double champ, I would think he'd be the GOAT. Honestly, he would be the GOAT if he beat Silva. And if Silva beat GSP, I would say Silva's the GOAT. Because it's one of those things where you're in an era of John Jones, GSP, and Silva. Those are like the best UFC fighters ever. And for any one of them to beat the other at any point in time would have been the definitive GOAT. Anderson Silva could have went up to light heavyweight and fought Jones. You know, if Jones beat Silva, he'd be the GOAT. Well, he still is, but you know what I mean. Kind of like the case of if Silva beat GSP or GSP beat Silva. It would have been an interesting fight, honestly, because the wrestling of GSP would help him win. The striking of Silva, you know, he's got the long reach, and he's got those leg kicks, and he's got the front kicks, and he's so crafty with it. Anderson Silva would be the better striker. It would be so hard for GSP to close the gap. But if he beat Silva, that would have been a huge upset. And like I was saying, right, the second reason, both cleared out their divisions and need new blood. Plus, GSP could have been champ if he beat Silva, and it's a legacy fight because you got both guys who cleared out their division. Whoever won, in my opinion, would be the UFC GOAT, and it's a huge legacy fight. We're talking Silva and GSP in their prime. Unfortunately, it just never happened. And number one, you know, Rafael Hodonzos versus Conor McGregor. It didn't happen because of balloon foot RDA. My foot was a balloon, mate. I had the titanium shin bone. Featherweight champ versus lightweight champ. Both on a win streak, plus his legacy fight. Because if we look at the records, we're talking Conor McGregor, right? We're talking Conor McGregor at the time when this fight was scheduled. It was actually scheduled for, if you look at it, UFC. When was it? UFC 192. Is that what it was? It looks like. But this was right after Conor had beat Jose Aldo. So this was like Conor at his height of the height of his career. He beat Aldo, so you know he was up there. See right here, he beat Jose Aldo and then scheduled for Rafael dos Anjos. So for a little context, we're talking the same Conor that's on the featherweight run. You know, he beat Max. He beat Dustin, Chad Mendez, Jose Aldo. Like, we're talking prime Conor McGregor, right? March 5th, 2016, right? And Dos Anjos, broken foot. At the time, Rafael Dos Anjos was lightweight champion. Rafael was 31, Conor was 27, both very, very young and in their prime. You know? Um, of course, it says Conor was the challenger. I mean, he technically was challenging for the belt, but he was technically the featherweight champion, so he would have been double champ had he won. Conor was 19-2. Rafael Dos Anjos was 25-7, and this was just 196 actually, not 192. I said 192, but it would have been a fight for the ages. Imagine Conor McGregor knocks out or finishes Rafael Dos Anjos in under like 3 rounds or 2 rounds or even 1 round, because we're talking Conor. At the time, he beat everyone in under 2 rounds. The only decision at that time that went to a decision for his fights. The only fight he had that was like 3 rounds long. Not even the Mendes fight. It was actually the Max fight. Went to a decision because he couldn't finish Max. And it's weird. Out of everyone Max Holloway could have fought, Conor McGregor was the man who could not beat him. But Dustin Poirier was, who could submit him, which was funny. But it was just the fight for the ages, honestly. We're talking Conor McGregor in his prime and Rafael Dos Anjos in his prime. And at that time, Rafael Dos Anjos, he was like on a big win streak as well. Right? He beat Donald Cerrone. He beat Anthony Pettis, Nate Diaz, Benson Henderson, Jason High. Yeah, he lost to Habib. But he beat Donald Cerrone and Evan Dunham, like Kamal Shalaris. Shalaris. I know who he is. I just can't pronounce his name. I never get it right. But we're talking at this time RDA. Yeah, he lost to Habib, but if you take away the Habib loss, he beat Cerrone, Jason High, Benson Henderson, Nate Diaz, Anthony Pettis, and then Donald Cerrone again. Like, Benson Henderson, really amazing, you know. He beat Patricia Pitbull, he beat Jorge Masvidal, he beat Josh Thompson, Nate Diaz, Gilbert Melendez, Frankie Edgar, Clay Guida, Jim Miller, Donald Cerrone again. We're talking really good resume names right here, Anthony Pettis, Nate Diaz. I mean, this is a good RDA. And then, sadly, RDA defended the belt against Eddie Alvarez, and then Eddie Alvarez took the belt off RDA. But I think, honestly, Conor McGregor versus RDA would have been a better fight than Conor McGregor versus Eddie Alvarez, because I just think Eddie Alvarez wasn't that good compared to... Excuse me, I'm yawning, I'm tired. I always record these at night. But we're talking, just big legacy fight. Featherweight champ versus lightweight champ. Now, who would have won all these matchups? If I'm going to be honest, if I'm going to go through these predictions, I think, honestly, Demetrius Johnson would have won. Just his experience and his fight IQ would have won him the fight. I wouldn't be surprised if TJ pulled the upset, because we're talking TJ, who was at the height of his prime. He beat Cody twice. He beat Renan Barão twice. Now this one is a little closer than you think. This could go 50-50 either way, but I would have thought Jose Aldo would have won. I think Habib would have won by domination, honestly. He would have demolished Tony Ferguson into oblivion. He would have mauled him to death. Right here, I would honestly pick GSP. Number 1, Conor McGregor. Like, this is just prime Conor McGregor. I just believe it's like the universe or God or whatever you believe in was on Conor McGregor's side for the run of his featherweight. It's like Conor McGregor was like the main story, right? It was like if he wasn't fighting Nate Diaz, he would have won those every single fight. I really believe it. Like, before the Habib fight, it's like he was on a big win streak and Nate Diaz broke that. But it's like you take Diaz out the equation, you put in RDA, and RDA I think really would have lost. I don't think RDA would have beat Conor. Maybe with the submission, but Conor's takedown defense was really good. I mean, he could have got something on like a standing neck or like a standing guillotine, standing rear neck choke. But believe Conor would have won. Second round knockout? I think he would have flatlined Rafael dos Anjos in under 2 rounds, honestly. We're talking prime Conor, like the best version of Conor you can, 2016, 2015 Conor. And that's it for the video. I know it's a little short. I guess you could say short. It's a 15-minute video. But honestly, those fights, those 5 specific fights should have happened. And it's sad they won't ever happen. All of those fights, you know, we still could get them, honestly, if everybody came out of retirement. But I don't think that's gonna happen. But honestly, you know, like I was saying, those fights were just legacy fights. Imagine all those fights if they happened. The history of UFC and MMA would be vastly different, I believe so. But enjoy your night. Spread love, peace, and positivity, and I'll catch y'all another time.